Specific edition of a book, a $4,000 rifle you'll only ever take to the range, expensive bourbon, mall ninja stuff, giant shark tank like you're a drug lord, cat shelves for your cat to climb around on. Anything. Story 1. I really want a shearling sheepskin jacket, the sort that John Hamm wears in Fargo. A decent quality one is around $1,000, and as much as I yearn for one, I can't justify the cost. One day. Story 2. Tools I'll maybe use once a year that I could easily get by without or that I already have a cheaper version of. I could spend hours daydreaming at Lowe's or Home Depot looking at stuff. Story 3. A 1970 GTO The Judge. I had one in my mid-20s, sold it because cash was king and I got a ridiculous offer, I thought, to sell it. I've hated that decision for decades now. But newly married, baby on the way, it seemed the thing to do at the time. Story 4. New golf clubs. I don't need them, the ones I have are just fine. New ones won't improve my game noticeably. But I'll be damned if I don't want a new $700 driver, $1,700 irons, and a $400 putter every damn year. Story 5. Gaming PC. Got rid of mine over a year ago because I was using it as a coping mechanism for depression and anxiety. I'm doing a lot better now because of therapy, medication, and cognitive behavioral therapy. Also, just being more grateful for the people in my life and finding joy in the simple parts of life. I feel like I have a new lease on life. I read, write, and work out solid hobbies. I want a gaming PC again because I miss all my online friends, who I still keep in touch with on Discord, and my brothers who moved out of state in the past year. I don't think or believe I'd become addicted to it or anything, as I have a PlayStation 5 and a virtual reality headset and don't really game at all. I miss the social interactions and feeling like people enjoy having me around. I was the resident clown and the #1 healer in my World of Warcraft guild. It hasn't been on my mind much, but since the holidays and the loneliness that comes with it when you're a single dude in your 20s, I am definitely missing my brothers. Story 6. I really want a B-2 Spirit Bomber. I don't know how to fly or have any technical knowledge of these. I would probably wash it every day and keep it shiny. A boy can only dream. Story 7. A Porsche Macan GTS. I had one a few years ago and I absolutely loved it. I got rid of it and am currently driving a cheaper Hyundai Santa Fe, and I've missed it ever since. The Hyundai is a perfectly acceptable vehicle. It's just not special. It's like driving an appliance. The Porsche, on the other hand, felt special and amazing every time I got into it. It handled and accelerated better than an older Corvette Z06 that I had. It's surprising that any four-door SUV can drive like that. Story 8. I want a donkey. They are smart, loyal, poop in the same place in the pasture, and can be protective. They are just awesome. I never got one even when I had a farm because I like going on vacation, and I wouldn't have had other animals to socialize with it. My lifestyle doesn't fit with having a donkey, but a man can dream. Story 9. 2 things. First one, a jacket. I do not really wear coats or jackets, so I will probably rarely use it. My jacket is over 15 years old, and it is starting to show. A backpack. My backpack is nearly as old as my jacket. It is starting to fall apart, but it still works. Again, I only use the backpack when I go on trips. I only use it like 2 times a year. Is it worth it to get a whole new one? I am not sure. Story 10. One of those awesome-looking espresso machines with a steamer wand, built-in grinder, etc. Even though I know I'll never use it because the Nespresso is so much easier. Story 11. I wouldn't say constantly, more like every once in a great while. Probably the most accessible, unnecessary thing I've thought about buying is a Desert Eagle. 100% no need for it, but hey, I loved Call of Duty 4 back in the day, and it was fun. It'd be cool to have. They look cool. Another thing that is totally out of reach unless I won the lottery would be a copy of the first appearance of Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy number 15. That would be my ultimate comic book collector's item. I am okay with never having it, but if I ever won the lottery, I might be extremely tempted to go waste money on it. Story 12. Today I saw a 1964 G.I. Joe, which is the first year they came out, and I got one for Christmas that year. Yeah, I'm old. To top it off, it was a military police officer. I was an Air Force military police officer, but we weren't cool enough to have a GI Joe made after us. It was $124. Really, that's not bad. But then I thought, where would it go? It would probably be put in a box and forgotten about. But when I have dementia and my wife shows it to me, I may smile at the memories. Story 13. I used to until I realized that once I acquired the item, I was no longer as interested as I was in wanting it. I just download things instead of buying them now, like cars. You can't download real cars anyway, but you can. Story 14. Rivian electric truck with the camping modules. At 64 with a wife that hates camping, I'm not sure where I'm going camping. I might need about a 40-year reset and some groupies too. Story 15. An inflatable hot tub that I do not really need because I should be paying off some debt instead, and I live in a townhouse where the hot tub would take up most of the tiny backyard, but I have been thinking about it for years anyways. Story 16. I have been looking at some Laguiole knives from Fontenay-le-Petard for ages. My personal favorite is the knives that have amaret wood, also known as snake wood, for the handle, but they have all sorts and even mammoth ivory. Story 17. Commercial slush puppy machine. Commercial fridge and commercial freezer. Commercial washer. If you can't tell, I prefer commercial equipment over consumer. It works better and lasts longer. Story 18. Cheap, reliable manual transmission car to learn how to drive standard. The inspection laws where I live are cost prohibitive for cheap vehicles, so the cheapest I'd be able to get would be $2,000 to $5,000 to make it road legal. Story 19. Small things, a camera drone, a 4-slot expansion for my network attached storage. Bigger things, a 16-foot Kevlar and epoxy canoe, a big telephoto lens, a table saw, a wood lathe. Story 20. I sell guns for a living and obviously I'm a fan of guns. So I'm constantly having to tell myself, no, you don't need another 9mm pistol, Paul. I've still bought 4 or 5 since I started working for this place, but in my defense, most of them were calibers I've never owned before. Story 21. I would love to get one of those camper vans with heaters and solar panels on the roof. I would love to travel more and see more of the state I live in. I would drive up and around the Olympic Peninsula, drive down into Oregon, and get some in and out. I could totally go for a double-double. Story 22. First, it was a computer, then my parents got me one. Then it was an espresso machine, which I eventually got. Now, I'm not really sure. I can make awesome coffee and game with friends, so I'm good. Guess if I had to choose something, a car would be nice. But some people see that as necessary, so I don't know if it counts. To be fair, I'm living without one, and not having to pay insurance is pretty nice. Story 23. Right now, it's about a 2024 Land Cruiser without selling my current car. My rational side knows it's a bad financial decision, and I will rarely drive my current car if I keep it. Plus, where am I going to keep a second car? But my emotional side loves my BRZ. It's been paid off for years and has low mileage. I'll probably never buy another manual transmission again with combustion engines going the way of the Dodo. But I would really like a utility or daily car alongside my BRZ. I just know it's a dumb want. Story 24. New GPU. Just did a new build this summer with a Radeon 6700 XT. It doesn't knock my socks off. However, I'm cheap and rarely shell out for the latest games, so I wouldn't take full advantage of a better graphics processing unit. The new thing I'm thinking about is gym equipment. I want to start working out and turn my garage into a home gym. Very unsure of what to buy and where to start. I'll figure it out. Story 25. Warhammer, even though I have 3 boxes still to glue together, and then when they're glued, 31 models to paint, which would mean buying more paint, makes me reject the idea in my mind. It is quite literally addictive. I wouldn't mind a pair of $3,000 night vision goggles either, but that won't happen anytime soon. Story 26. A large saltwater fish tank. The cost and knowledge needed for care will luckily keep me from ever buying one. I would feel terrible if I were killing the sea life for not knowing how to keep the water proper. Story 27. Rods and reels. I don't know why I have dozens. I've got combinations that range from $150 to over $700. At this point, I've got a setup for any technique you could ever want to try, yet I'm constantly browsing tackle websites, searching for the latest and greatest rod. How much technology can really be put into a fishing rod? Do reels really get better than a Shimano Aldebaran? All of this to catch a fish that weighs in the single digits. Story 28. Currently, I have a 75-gallon fish tank. However, what I would really like is a 300-gallon tank or bigger. You literally need a structural engineer to come to your house to ensure the floor is strong enough to hold a tank that large. I could certainly fit a lot of really cool fish and plants into that tank, though. Story 29. Presents for my nieces. I'm not wealthy, so it's not something I can regularly do, but it makes me happy to see them smile. Seeing their faces light up makes my day. Story 30. A convection cooktop for the house. The current cooktop is fine and works fine, but the idea of a nice convection setup is something I've looked into. It would be about $4,000 all done. I've already spent tons of money on bourbon, guns, and cars, so in reality, I could just take a break from a different hobby and do it in a month or two. A quarter without buying bourbon would cover it. Story 31. Porsche 911 GT3. I keep thinking of taking the leap and using home equity to buy one. I keep telling myself they don't depreciate, so I won't lose much money aside from interest. Story 32. It's not really necessary, but really fun. CZ Scorpion Evo 9mm. Can't hunt with it, strictly only used to shoot, and 9mm ammo is way more expensive than 22 long rifle ammunition for my Heckler and Coke 416. Also, an electric car, preferably Subaru Solterra. A brand new Subaru runs roughly $30K or under. A semi-used, year-old Solterra runs $48K and up. But it's pretty, and I wouldn't have to buy gas. That's pretty much it. I think about this way too much. Story 33. A Henry Big Boy X model lever rifle in .44 Magnum or a Marlin Dark Series lever action rifle. Very tactical, very mechanical and new old school. I love it. Story 34. The space and setup to make my own cheeses, especially hard cheese, which needs a long duration of temperature-controlled storage. A beehive of my own and a small mushroom farm. Thinking big, an agave field so I can set up a tequila distillery. Story 35. Banjo. I'm an adult. I'm getting a banjo, and you can't stop me. Of course, I'll have to pay bills first and food, utilities, fill up the gas tank on my car, etc. Because I'm an adult. But someday I'm getting a banjo. Story 36. The Chivas Regal Royal Salute in every single color. Each is around 300 or so on average. There are about 12 colors. Eventually, I want the Macallan 30. Other than that, there are literally dozens and dozens of chef knives. I only need 5 realistically, but, dear sweet rainbow array of gods, do they look so tempting. The Shun Sora series whisper sweet nothings to my wallet and the addiction center of my brain. Story 37. Night vision. Do I need it to do clandestine operations at night? No. Do I have predators picking off my chickens at night? No. Do I want to see in the dark? Hell yeah, brother. I want that for about 26 years. I've been asking old Red Dog for the gift of nocturnal sight. He hasn't delivered. I have a big jar above my fridge now for my night vision fund. 2024, this will be the year I become the Night Brothers. Hell yeah. Story 38. Wireless buds. I read reviews, check prices, and stay on top of new developments. Corded ones meet all my needs, so I never buy them. Edit. Here I go thinking again. Story 39. Condoms. I know I am not going to be in water where the muzzle of my gun will go under the water. But if I ever have it on me and out on the water, I think I should put a condom over the muzzle. Story 40. I really want a tractor that I can use to clear land and pick up heavy things. I currently rent a basement apartment and own no land, but that doesn't stop the desire. Story 41. DJ equipment. Love the music and the art form, but I feel like that's a common purchase people make, use once or twice, and then never again. Another one is camera equipment. I have good stuff, but there's always a new lens or body or peripheral that's tempting. Story 42. I do think about buying more firearms for my collection, but I already splurged and got the $3,000 rifle, and yes, it only ever sees an indoor range. Story 43. A fancy toolbox for my garage. I have all my tools in a tub and it's fine, but I really want a fancy toolbox to organize it all in one spot. I've had my eye on one, but I'm not paying mechanic tool truck prices. Story 44. I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, so it's something new I obsess about buying every week. But most recent things I've been desperate to buy, but luckily I know how to fight the urge these days, are a MacBook Pro M3, a mirrorless Nikon camera, a DJI Mini 4 Pro drone, an Xbox Series X, and watches, lots of watches. The list goes on, and it's annoying. Story 45. 4 ultra-wide monitors stacked properly with a nice-looking desk and wireless keyboard and mouse, with the latest graphics processing unit and some RGB lighting, and a great cable management system, with some good studio monitor speakers along with my DT770 Pro 80 ohms limited edition Bear Dynamic headphones, with a great high-end chair possibly from Herman Miller, and everything looking super clean and attractive. That's the dream. Story 46. Fragrances, I have plenty already, for every occasion, yet my brain wants to read about everything out there, looking up prices, notes, where it sells, sample at the stores, and then remove from the shopping cart because I know I don't need it and I shouldn't be buying it. I need a new interest fixation. Story 47. Surfboards. I would get a new one every 6 months if I could afford one. They are getting pretty expensive at $1,000 each. Still a pretty reasonable value. I've broken a lot in my time, which doesn't help. Story 48. I want to dig out a walkout patio for a hot tub. It sounds awesome and sounds like it would increase value, but I can't shake the feeling that it would be a colossal waste of money if we don't use it enough. Story 49. I was just looking at embroidery machines the other day. I'd love to have one, but they start at like $400, which is a lot for a machine I'd use only on occasion. Also, I really want a nicer three-dimensional printer like an X1, but I'm an adult and I've got bills to pay. At least that's what I tell myself. Laughing out loud.